We are Baltimore. We are Arizona.
Well, when you visit Arizona, you want to get a little Western flavor, and no better place to get that flavor, that Western flavor, than Scottsdale, Arizona. However, you might get it here tonight. It's country night at Chase Field as the Diamondbacks take on the Pittsburgh Pirates in the first of 3 this weekend. Howdy, partners. I'm Greg Schulte. This is Bob Brenly. Seaberth Hume out ill tonight. And, Bert, I know it's killing you not to be here. Get back healthy, buddy. But, BB, we got Josh Collmenter going to the hill against Garrett Cole. Very hard thrower in Cole. Collmenter, very good his last time out.
And just what the doctor ordered last time out. If you think back to last week in San Francisco on Thursday night, the Diamondbacks used a starting pitcher and all 7 relievers to get through that ball game. Josh Collmenter came out the next night and did exactly what his manager needed him to do, a complete game. The only complete game in the major leagues this year. I mean, Josh Collmenter is the ace of this staff. He may not throw 100 miles an hour, but he gets the job done. You can see saving the bullpen. Most relievers use the night before a complete game. Josh right there with a former Diamondback, Miguel Batista.
Well, it doesn't happen very often, but it was much needed by the Diamondbacks. As you mentioned, Chip Hale had used everybody out of that bullpen. 2 years ago, the Pittsburgh Pirates came in here. They were struggling offensively. Their bats got well in this ballpark. Guess what? They're struggling again.
Yeah, we can't let them get healthy in this 3-game series over the weekend. They are really scuffling offensively, top to bottom. Really nobody clicking consistently for Clint Hurdle and his Pirates right now.
We got a good one for you here tonight, and Jody Jackson's got a good one when we come back. A look at Paul Goldschmidt and Andrew McCutchen, 2 of the best in all of Major League Baseball.
Part by Cox Gigablast. How will you live the gig life? by Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. And by Jack in the Box. Jack's hottest sandwich is back. Head to Jack in the Box for Jack's Blazing Chicken Sandwich.
And welcome back to Chase Field. Josh Colementor set to take the mound against the Pittsburgh Pirates. First time these two teams are meeting this season. Jody Jackson with you from the field. As Greg Schulte mentioned in our previous segment, Andrew McCutchen, the center fielder for the Pirates, and Paul Goldschmidt, first baseman for your Arizona Diamondbacks. Two of the best players in the game, certainly in the National League. We all know about the 2013 race for the MVP. McCutchen won it. Goldie was certainly deserving. And these two players have a great appreciation for the talents of the other one.
He goes out and he plays the game the right way, so that's all you can ask for, and it pays off for you. So he's doing a good job, and it's always great to see someone like himself going out and playing the game and making it the way that it used to be, like when I was a little kid, and having somebody that I looked up to that were capable of doing the same things.
No doubt he's one of the best players in the game, all the way around. Unbelievable hitter, hits for power, hits for average, gets on base, takes his walks, doesn't strike out that much. I mean, he's an unbelievably tough out. I mean, when we're playing defense, he's one of the guys you do not want up there. He doesn't really have a weakness. You got to almost hope he mishits the ball to get him out.
While the numbers over the last few years have been very similar between McCutchen and Goldschmidt, not so to start the 2015 season. Goldie's off to a hot start, batting .296 with 5 home runs. McCutchen, so far, batting .200 with 2 home runs. We shall see. D-backs look to keep McCutchen down for 3 more games at least. All right, stay with us. First pitch coming up next. Greg Schulte, Bob Brentley have it for you. Josh Colementor, Coley against Cole for the Pirates. Hard-throwing right-hander.
Complete game shutout in San Francisco last Friday night. He and the Diamondbacks splitting the 2-game series against Texas, and now the Pirates are in before the Rockies come in next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The top 2 guys in the order here, kind of their table setters, just like the Diamondbacks got a couple of table setters that they have. But Josh Coleman or Bob Brentley, boy, he sure gave the Diamondbacks a lift with that complete game victory in SF.
A huge lift. We talked about it in the open of the show. Sometimes when you need it the most, Josh always seems to be the guy right there ready to take the baseball, whether it's as a long reliever, a setup guy, or in this case as a starting pitcher. You see his numbers on the season, and Yeah, granted, we talked about this Pirates club struggling coming into this series, but you look at the talent up and down this Bucco lineup, and Josh is going to have to be very careful tonight.
And I think early in the year you have teams struggling in one area or another. You know, it's just the nature of the beast, and you're going to struggle throughout the season in different areas. So hopefully they can get out of town here, and they can get their bats well when they go to Chicago. We're underway. First pitch at 84 miles per hour from Josh Colemeter. This kid's pretty good right here, Josh Harrison. And he kind of took a long road to the big leagues and right back up the middle into center field for a leadoff single to start the night. Let's take a look at the Pirates lineup. Behind Harrison in the order for Clint Hurdle. They've got the guy coming to the plate now, Polanco. Then it's McCutchen hitting third. Walker's their cleanup hitter. Marte's hot right now. He's in left field. Then Alvarez has changed position. Cervelli, the new catcher. Mercer at shortstop. And Cole, who's a good athlete, can handle the bat a little bit also.
Well, one thing to watch for on this Pirates ball club, they're dead last in the National League in drawing walks, only 30 as a ball club. As you might expect, Andrew McCutchen has 6 leading the team, but this is a very aggressive swinging team. Josh Colemeter bouncing that change up in the dirt and elevating the fastball above the top of the zone should be very effective against them.
So Harrison on base to start things off here. And if you're wondering, he has not stolen a base yet. Here's Polanco, the heralded young outfielder, and he takes the strike. And there he is, Andrew McCutchen on deck. He's yet to get his bat going, but you know he will before it's all said and done. Polanco at the 300 mark right now. He's one Pirate who is hitting. And he hits this one at first. Let's see if they can get 2. There's one. And the throw is a little wide there by Ahmed, with Harrison breaking things up at second base, so they'll get a fielder's choice. 3-6.
Tough enough to turn that 3-6-1 double play as it is without somebody with the speed like Polanco running out of the batter's box. Easy force at second base. Nick Ahmed chooses to come to the inside of the baseline to avoid that sliding runner right there. Just too much speed from Polanco.
Now, Polanco has swiped 5 already, so he's been a little run happy. Coleman will have to keep a close eye on him. And here he is, Andrew McCutchen. 2 years ago, he beat out Paul Goldschmidt for MVP. And he's a good one, to say the least. You can see those numbers right there. That batting average is going to pick up there. They got him! Nope, he just got back in. Boy, they had him.
And leaning the wrong way that time for sure.
Let's see if he asks for time and smooths the dirt out. He got his cleats hung up. Ooh, that.
Just got the hand down on the bag ahead of the Paul Goldschmidt tag.
That'll scare a base runner a little bit. Will he shorten his lead now?
Well, we'll see. I don't even know if he was out to his maximum lead that time. I think he was just going to take off on Josh Colementer's first movement, no matter what it was, and fortunate to get back to the bag that time.
And you see what Colementer's doing here. He's holding.
He's holding the ball.
Yep.
Hope to get him to jump again over there at first base.
Pretty good percentage in his career. Gregory Polanco, who came to the big leagues for the first time a year ago. Outfield plays straight away for McCutchen. Up high for a ball. McCutchen has really hit well here in this ballpark.
And against the Diamondbacks in his career in
Yes.
any ballpark.
Yep.
This guy hits good against just about everybody.
Not real big in stature, as you can see, but he's got some pop in that bat of his. He takes outside, and the count's quickly gone to 2-0. And no more dreadlocks. 15 dreadlocks were sold through Pirates charities, and I didn't get the amount that they got for each dreadlock, but he had there they are right there.
Yeah.
But that was 8 years without a haircut.
Wow.
There goes Polanco. A ball to throw down is not in time. Actually, they called that pitch a strike. And Polanco swipes his 6th base of the season.
And just like legging out that fielder's choice, he just outruns the ball to second base. Chris Owings tried to get above that baseball so he could slap that tag down quickly, but Polanco already had the left foot on the base.
Well, I think he's going to be a guy who's going to hit you 20+ home runs and steal you 20 to 30 bases a year, don't you, Polanco? if he lives up to what he's capable of doing.
Oh, yeah. If he lives up to the pub, he'll be a great player in the National League. He had a little bit of a long swing last year, but that's kind of expected for a guy making his major league debut. Wanted to hit a lot of home runs, had that short porch at PNC Park to work with, and at times his swing got long. But much like Jake Lamb came up last year, and his swing was a little long at times, but has really shortened it up this year.
Roof and panels are open here. It's a beautiful night. We had rain actually in the desert today as we. I know it's eating on Jay Lamb being in that dugout on the disabled list. There's a ball down low. Counts run full now, 3-2. Pittsburgh just starting a 10-game trip. After they leave Arizona, they'll go to Chicago and then on to St. Louis in the division. So this is a out west and then back to the Central for them. They come in at 8-8. Full count on McCutcheon. Polanco dancing around out at second. Pop fly into shallow right. On comes Trumbo. Looking at Polanco. He's going to go back to the bag and tag. Here's a catch. Here comes a throw over to third, and it's not in time. Let's take a look at that Diamondback defense. And it sets up in the outfield. Inciarte, Pollock, and Trumbo with Tomas at third tonight. Ahmed Owings up the middle. Goldie over at first. And Tuffy catching Coleman. Second start at third base for Yasmani Tomas. Polanco, I think he looked at Trumbo the way he was setting up to catch that ball, and that made his decision that he was going to try for third.
Yeah, Mark got a little too far underneath that fly ball to right field. Ended up backpedaling a half a step to make the catch, and that's all the opening Polanco needed to advance 90 feet.
Now Neil Walker, switch hitting second baseman, and he looks at a strike from Coleman. Just trying to get out of this without any first inning damage. That's always big. Shut out first inning. That'll miss inside. The last time Josh gave the Diamondbacks 9 shutout innings. Can't get any better than that.
Yeah, cool evening at AT Park in San Francisco. Josh has sweat already in the first inning more than he did in 9 innings in San Francisco.
Yeah. Boy, it was a beautiful day here, though, today. A little cooler, some wind. We mentioned rain earlier. Just outside. Tempting pitch for the hitter, but Walker laid off. This kid's a pretty good player. He kind of flies under the radar a little bit, but he's pretty solid, Neil Walker.
He can hurt you with the long ball. He likes that fastball middle of the plate in and down a little bit.
And he's a Pittsburgh kid, playing for his hometown team. Ground ball right field, base hit. The run is in. The Pirates jump on top, 1-0.
That 90 feet on the fly ball to right field turned out to be big right there. Not sure Polanco would have scored from second base on that hard hit ball into right field, but because he's on third, he could walk home. Elevated fastball up and out over the plate. He got the ground ball he was looking for. Unfortunately, Walker found that hole on the right side.
And for Walker, that's run batted in, number 6 on the season. And he's given his club a 1-0 first inning lead here. And now Starling Marte, who's 8 for his last 20 at the plate. The left fielder and a big swing and a miss. You mentioned only 30 walks. That's 16 games played.
Yeah, their manager, Clint Hurdle, was a hitting coach before he became a manager, and he has always been very aggressive. He likes to see his guys swinging at quality first pitches.
Ball inside. It's something the Diamondbacks are doing this year. They're swinging a lot of first pitches. Not necessarily run of the count. They will, but a lot of first pitch swinging.
If you think about it, it makes a lot of sense because we talk about pitchers and how important it is for them to go strike one. Well, if you're going to throw strike one, the hitter should be ready to hit strike one.
What would you guess the percentages of the first pitch of the ballgame, fastball? What would you think? 90%?
I would probably say 75 to 80%. Because there are a lot of really good first ball, fastball hitting leadoff guys that will go up there and try to ambush you and put a quick one on the board trying to hit that first fastball.
Ricky Anderson.
Yep.
Goldie's been swinging a lot more first pitches this year. 1-2 now on Marte with a run in and a man on with 2 men out. High from Cole Minter.
Unusual for Josh, and this is his 4th start of the season and the first time he's given up any runs in the first 2 innings of a ball game.
Well, as you said, he's really perspiring out there on the hill. He's working. Yeah, again, it is country night, Western night here at the ballpark. A lot of fans have come out, dressed for the occasion. It's a good looking ad. She's got 2. Now let's see if Coleman can get this final out here. Out of the first. Marte's driven in a dozen. He's got 5 home runs on the year. Lines it to short. Ahmed drops it. Picks it up to throw to first. And Goldie helps him out with a dig over there. And that'll retire the side. So Coleman gives up one of the first. He spots the Pirates a run. And Garrett Cole will take the hill in the bottom of the first. 1-0 Pittsburgh. Pollock getting ready to go up against Garrett Cole, a 24-year-old fireballer for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's a good one to say the least. And his manager knows he's got a good one. And of course, talking about Clint Hurdle.
He's able to spin the ball. He's able to change speeds. I mean, when he can cover, when he can use the slow breaking ball to drop it down to 78 miles an hour, he can throw the fastball 96, 97. You're trying to cover an 18, 19 mile an hour gap, which is one of the biggest challenges we have in our game.
Yeah, that's a challenge.
That's a challenge for all National League hitters facing Garrett Cole. The first overall pick back in that 2011 draft, made it to the big leagues 2 years later. You heard his manager talk about that fastball mid to upper 90s. Throws a hard slider in the upper 80s. He's talking about that big slow curve, a pitch that Garrett Cole will use from time to time, but you're going to see mostly power stuff from this young man.
Maybe I don't recall seeing a shift on Inciarte like this. Grounded to Mercer, and Mercer is able to throw him out at first base. He came from the right side of the infield and fielded that ball just a little on the left side of the second base bag to get into it.
You're right. Inciarte hits the ball the opposite field as much as he pulls it. That is a little unusual.
Let's take a look at the Diamondbacks lineup. That's Pollock, and then Goldie hitting third. Trumbo in the cleanup spot. Tomas moves up to fifth tonight with Owens hitting sixth. Duffy batting seventh. Coleman, again, the pitcher, hitting eighth with Ahmed batting ninth. So second consecutive game we see Chip Hill using his pitcher in the number 8 position in the batting order. This guy's hot. A.J. Pollock. And he chops one to short. Brewers retired the first two easily. Those are the table setters. And Cole's gone through those guys on 4 pitches. That means Goldie bats with the bases empty.
Country Western night, they'll have pictures of the players up there on the big board in some country attire.
Goldie looks like a natural.
Well, he wears that every day for crying out loud.
You see the season numbers at OPS over 1,000. And he looks at a strike. Of course, Goldie saw his season come to an end last year on August 1st when he was struck by a pitch from Ernesto Frieri of the Pirates. He launches this one foul out of place, strike 2. Andrew McCutchen later in that series was hit by a pitch from Randall Delgado. That's a giddy-up fastball right there.
Oh, McCutchen out there in center field. That's what outfielders can do. Well, here you see Goldie when he got that hand broken August 1st last season. Right on top of that left hand where he now wears a pad in his batting glove to protect that area. That shot we had of McCutchen out there in center field, he was kind of simulating his swing. You know, outfielders do stuff like that all the time. They'll look down at their shadow during a day game and look at their stance and work on their swing between pitches.
There's a foul. Where you know you got a problem though with your outfielders when he's got the glove on the ground and he's doing that, right?
Well, I don't think we'll see McCutchen do that, but yeah, you definitely have a problem if he drops his glove.
Well, there's a lot of good young talent in Major League Baseball, and 2 of the best playing here tonight. The guy at the plate, the guy in center field. You know, a lot of outfielders play Goldie deep. McCutchen's about as deep as you can go at center field right now.
That's about as deep as we've seen a center fielder play for anybody under any circumstances this year. Even in that no doubles defense late in a ball game, I don't think we've seen a center fielder play that deep.
Ooh, there's a good take and a walk for Goldschmidt. Goldie might have as many walks as the Pirates now. Well, since 2013.
Talked a lot about these 2 big guys in their respective lineups. See the comparative numbers there. Goldie with more home runs and RBIs. McCutchen with a slight lead in the on-base percentage, but the OPS goes in favor of Paul Goldschmidt because of the power. I'll take both of them. And,
yeah, that'd be a nice team to start your franchise with.
Fill in with 7 others.
Goldie will draw a throw and he'll get back. That walk for Goldschmidt is his 12th of the season. And he's always a threat to run. 79%.
And the catcher today for the Pirates, Francisco Cervelli, has had some problems throwing out runners this year. Only 1 out of 10.
In fact, the Pirates have only thrown out, well, Stewart's 2 for 2. Sanchez 0 for 2. So, but yeah, he came over, as you said, from New York. He replaces Russell Martin, who was big in Pittsburgh. Signed that free agent contract with Toronto. 1-1 on Trumbo. Mark, while the long ball hasn't been there, has been hitting well. He's hitting .288. 6 runs batted in. He had 15 hits. His 1 home run came in San Francisco. Goldie the tying run at first here in the opening inning. He takes off. Jumbo in the air to right center field. Right field. Polanco got a late break on it, makes the catch. And that'll retire the sack. Goldie had a pretty good jump there, but Diamondbacks fail to walk a man left, and after 1-0 Bucks. By Milwaukee, scoring Gregory Polanco, stolen base in that inning. And after one, they've got a 1-0 lead. Here's Pedro Alvarez, the hard-hitting, now first baseman for the Bucks. Coleman gets ahead.
And I think that's made him, or will make them a better team all the way around. Pedro Alvarez struggled mightily at third base last year. And the Pirates have been looking for an everyday first baseman for quite some time. It's kind of been an audition over there. So if Alvarez can make that adjustment from one side of the infield to the other, it opens the door for Josh Harrison to play every day at third base. And you've got Alvarez's power bat in a position where he's a little more comfortable.
Ooh, close pitch there from Coleman, who didn't get the call. Home plate umpire is Tony Randazzo. And plus it opened the door for Josh Harrison to have an everyday spot at third base. Back to the mound. 1 out.
Now we talked about Pedro and his struggles at third base last year. At times it was almost comical. He'd make a nice defensive play and then just airmail throws across the diamond. As routine as it could possibly be, spikes it in the dirt. And this is the one. Watch out in the 15th row. That wasn't even close to his target. And once it gets to that point, it's no longer a physical problem. It's no longer a mechanical problem. It's between your ears.
Don't have to make many throws at first base. Here is the newcomer, Francisco Cervelli. He has been given the task of taking the spot the last couple of years occupied by Russell Martin. And there's a foul back. I think a lot of people thought Martin would stay in Pittsburgh. They had something going postseason the last couple of years, and he went home. He went to Toronto. He's a Canadian, and he got a big-time contract. So they had to go out and find a catcher, and they got Cervelli from the Yankees. Jerry Davis, the crew chief.
The Pirates catchers have done a nice job as a unit, though. You mentioned Chris Stewart earlier, has done some of the catching as well. The Pirates are second only to the Rockies in batting average and second to the Rockies once again in on-base percentage by their catchers.
Pirates in the division. Currently 3 games back in the Central. St. Louis currently leading 2.5 game lead over the Cubs at the start of the night. Pirates have gone 2 and 4 on the road. They've already played 10 home games. This one to Goldie. Boy, he's right on with those throws over first base. Everyone just, Goldie just reaches out and grabs. And here's Jordy Mercer. Chip Hill has talked about wanting his starting pitchers to utilize that infield defense, which is so good, especially first, second, and short. And Lamb, we think, is going to be a real good one. Right now, he's out. Outside ball one. Are you a little surprised Moore haven't tested Tomas maybe on a bunt play or two so far?
Well, you know, this Pirates team has a couple of guys that will bunt for a base hit, but I think as we move forward and there's more playing time down there at third base, as Adams spanked into right field for a 2-out base hit by Mercer. I think as teams see more and more of Yasmani Tomas, I think some ball clubs will try to bunt. Now, the reality is there just aren't many guys who are accomplished bunters for base hits.
And a lot of, you can tell a lot of that just by watching guys trying to square around to bunt for a sacrifice.
Even during batting practice, you watch guys trying to bunt the first 2 pitches against the batting practice pitcher, and they pop them up off the top of the cage or bunt them foul.
Tell you what, if you're a pitcher in the National League, you better learn how to bunt, sacrifice, because it can keep you in some ball games. There's a strike to Cole, who's got a career home run. 0 for 6 currently this season with 5 strikeouts. We mentioned, though, he's a good athlete. Out of UCLA. Garrett Cole. There you see his career numbers. 7 runs batted in. Career batting average isn't bad. Cole was the first overall pick back in 2011. The Diamondbacks took his teammate at UCLA, Trevor Bauer, on the 7th pick. Check that, the 4th pick. They got Archie Bradley at number 7.
While we have a moment, let's take a look at our Valley Honda keys to the game tonight. Obey the speed limit. We know Josh will keep it under the limit. Not so sure about Garrett Cole. And how about for Josh Coleman? How about some home cooking for the ace, please? In his last 5 starts here at Chase Field, while Josh has been in the ball game, the team has scored 3 runs for him in 32 innings.
This is his home ballpark.
Yeah, he needs a little more support than that. Of course, he helped himself in his last start against the Giants that we've already talked about. He also had 3 hits in that ball game.
That ERA, though, will show you right there that he's really limited the opponent. Just have been close games. He just hasn't gotten any run support. Counts 2-2 on Cole. A 2-out hit by Jordy Mercer. Pirates with 3 hits against Cole Metter. And another hit into right field. Mercer will stop at second. Cole's first hit of the season. Pirates got a little 2-out rally going.
Just kind of fights off a fastball up and in. Pretty good looking swing right there. A little inside out. Takes advantage of that hole on the right side of the infield.
So Cole will run the bases. And now Harrison, who had a hit his first time up, comes to the plate. He took one right back up the middle. RBI opportunity now. He's driven in 3 on the year. Boy, there's nothing that hurts a team more than a 2-out rally, BB, and there's nothing more that gives the team a little more steam with a 2-out rally, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's why those 2-out base hits are so huge, and when you're not getting them, they always seem to be the topic of conversation after a losing ball game. We had runners on base, had ducks on the pond, had chances to score, just couldn't seem to come up with that big hit when we needed it the most. How many times have we heard that?
Well, there's another case where the umpire grants time to the hitter. Cole Metter was in his delivery, ready to throw the baseball, and he kind of came off a little awkward there.
Yeah, it looked like his foot was already in the air before the home plate umpire Tony Randazzo jumped out to call timeout.
0-2 now on Harrison.
Yeah, Josh Harrison's one of those leadoff guys. You have to be careful. He had 13 home runs last year. I saw him hit one to dead center field at PNC Park on their last homestand. This guy's got surprising power for a guy that's, let's see, what's he listed at? 5'8". That might be a stretch, too, for Josh.
Up and in. This started with 2 out. A couple of hits by right-handed hitters Mercer and Cole to right field. There's another foul. That's another thing this guy can do. Be pesty. Just waste pitches. He's a good story. He came up in the Cub organization. Got a chance to play with Pittsburgh. And he's made the most of it. Out of the University of Cincinnati. All-star last year. That's how far this kid has progressed.
He was teammates with former Diamondback Tony Campana. Yeah. Talk about some speed at the top of your order. Ooh.
Drive into right center. Pollock on the run out there. And he can't get it. He's going to play a couple. Harrison will turn second. Head to third. Here's Ahmed's throw. They're going to play. He is out at third base. Tomas applied the tag. But the run did score at the plate. A 2-out rally produces 2 for the Pirates. And it was Owings who made the dandy throw to Tomas, who made the tag.
could still be hitting were it not for a perfectly executed cutoff and relay there. Harrison's drive to the gap in right center was played on a hop off the fence by A.J. Pollock. Perfect throw to Chris Owens, who gets himself into position to make a throw to third. Tough pick by Yasmani Tomas over there at third base. Got himself out in front of the bag. Went down to a knee, kind of to block that ball. Ends up with it right in the middle of his glove for the easy out at third.
So it goes 8-4-5 on the put-out. 2-run double for Harrison. But as you said, a nice pick there by Tomas because that ball came up on him. Stayed right with it. And if Harrison's at third, you got Polanco next. So they do get 2, and they lead at 3-0. Garrett Cole had to run the bases, so we'll see how he comes out here in this second inning. And he had to run the bases hard all the way from first base.
All right, in a moment, let's take a look at our T-Mobile game-changing moment. First 3 innings of a ball game this year. Diamondbacks are right there in second place in run differential in the first 3 innings of a ball game. They've scored 30. They've given up 18. I did not know that.
You know, you play 15 like that. A lot of these innings run together. Well, I don't know if Garrett Cole is still winning or not. My guess might be he is. I guarantee you that guy's not tired. He just likes to run and play.
You mentioned he was a Cub farmhand, got traded to the Pirates when Lou Piniella decided he needed a couple more left-handed pitchers. So they made a deal and brought in John Graybo and Tom Gorzolani to Chicago, and Josh Harrison went the other direction. It worked out well for the Buccos.
Tomas in his second start. Had a couple of hits the other night playing third base. 3 for 7 so far. Cole can get that heater up there in a hurry. That one was only 93, but it looked faster. Walker had him played perfectly and throws a little low to first, but Alvarez comes up with it, 1 down. Chowing down up at Friday's Front Row Sports Grill tonight.
Hey fans, when the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. The day after every Diamondbacks win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com.
Here's Chris Owens, who's starting to pick it up at the plate. Seal got off to a rough start. That bat's been coming alive of late. 9 for his last 27 over 6 games. He's hit safely in 7 of his last 9.
I see what you did there. Very nice.
Wednesday against Texas. This had to feel good to him.
Had to feel real good. Probably just as good as the ball he drove to the gap in right center later on. That's a good sign for any hitter. When you're hitting the ball to all fields with authority, barreling that ball up, you got to feel pretty good about what you did.
Cole gets him to go after a high hard one, and he can't catch up with that. And that's out number 2. First strikeout for Garrett Cole on the night.
Number 9, Toffee Gunzoish.
How about some waffle and some chicken?
Rolos.
Sounds good right about now. I forgot to eat dinner tonight. I was too busy in here. Your boy Bert. I mean, he must really be under the weather to miss the ball. I know he's watching it.
He had a pretty good streak going.
What was it?
Ended tonight at 315 games. Now, for Cal Ripken Jr., as that one's lined to second base, we'll get into those numbers when we get back.
Tuffy out number 3, and in order here in the second against Garrett Cole. He's got a 3-0 lead.
Interactive kiosks right here at Chase Field during any Diamondbacks regular season home game.
I've always wondered, is there a trick to the way you put that into the slot there to have it go down?
You know, I've watched The Price is Right for years, Governor, and I think it's just random. I really do.
Well, a lot of fans here tonight. Great crowd on a Friday night. Watch the first of 3 with the Pirates. This is an 8-game homestand. 2 already have been played with Texas. Diamondbacks split those 2. Pirates in all weekend, and then the Rockies come in starting Monday. They got the Giants this weekend in Denver. Strike 1 to Polanco, who reached on a fielder's choice in the first inning, stole a base, took third on a fly ball to right field, and then scored on a 2-out single by Neil Walker. He skies this one to right. Long run for Trumbo near foul ground and can't get there. It's back a row or 2. McCutchen on deck. McCutchen sure looks different though with that haircut.
He said he used to get mistaken for Larry Fitzgerald in Pittsburgh all the time.
You can see that. To the right side. Release. Number 1 here in the 3rd. And here is McCutchen. Well, I guarantee it, McCutchen's a good center fielder, but he can't flag him down like Larry Fitzgerald can. McCutchen first time up, fly to the right fielder, Trumbo. Diamondbacks go to Pittsburgh in August this season. If you're planning a road trip, that's a great ballpark to watch a baseball. Just one of the better ballparks in all of baseball.
Unless you're in the press box.
Yes. I watch a lot of the monitor.
But even at that, our view from the press box at PNC
Oh.
Park out across the river and the Roberto Clemente Bridge, you see the skyline of the city of Pittsburgh right there as the sun goes down and the lights come on in the buildings. It's absolutely gorgeous.
2-0 McCutchen. Diamondbacks got a shift on him. They've got 3 on the left side. They're the old Caps. I always see that cap. I think of Kent Tekulve and I think of Chuck Tanner. Those 2 in particular. I don't know why.
I'll throw Willie Stargell in there.
Yes.
I get it.
There's the strike. 3-1.
Pops. Yep. Let's call him captain of the Buccos. The We Are Family team.
Boy, they were big. Right into the shift. And Owens shows him up. I don't know if Ahmed gets that ball. If they're playing right straight up there, probably doesn't.
You know, probably not, because Ahmed, even without the drastic pull shift you see here, Ahmed would be playing 2 or 3 steps over toward the hole anyway, and this ball gets up the middle easily. Took a little tricky hop right at the end to CO, but he stays with it and throws on to first for the easy out.
Now let me ask you, are you scoring that any different? It's 4-3, but are you putting anything different in your scorebook to know when you look back that the shift was on? That was on the left side of the infield?
I do not.
I don't either. Drive down the left field line toward the corner. Foul ball by Walker. But again, that's a 4-3, even though it's fielded on the left side by the shortstop.
Young Giovanni Gallardo.
Yeah. Stairs. There's a lot to do here.
Takes his swings, that's for sure.
I know that really had to bother him the other night when he was up there to bunt.
Get the bat off your shoulder.
That's a fair ball behind the bat, and Goldie will take it to the bank himself. Coleman with a 1-2-3 ground ball inning. We'll head to the bottom of the 3rd. Coleman will lead it off in the 8th spot. 3-0 Bucks.
Inciarte to bat in this inning. Interesting stat that I saw today with Ender, who is off to a hot start, but with the hard-throwing Garrett Cole on the mound, he's one of 7 players batting 500 or better against pitches 93 miles per hour and up. So I asked Ender why so successful against guys that bring the heat. He said, look, I just try to keep it simple. My swing gets shorter. The harder they throw, the less you have to do. That's kind of the philosophy that he goes by. He's never faced Cole, but he looked at him on video, and that's his philosophy, guys.
All right, thank you, Jody. Well, Cole better watch it here before he gets to Inciarte. A couple of batters away because Josh Coleman had a 3-hit game last time up against the Giants. Look what I got. A lousy throw to first, but they got the out. Man.
Nothing pretty about any of that play.
That was ugly.
Cole just kind of sticks his glove up in the air and kind of surprised it stayed in, and then lollipops a throw over to Alvarez, who
not sure hands over there.
Yeah, he picks it out of the dirt. Fortunately for him, it was a little bit of a short hop.
Ooh. Now Pedro knows what it's like over at first. Here is Ahmed. Well, Nick, last outing against Texas in that 8-5 win, had a double and a walk in his last 2 plate appearances. Maybe they'll get him going. It's been a struggle offensively, sure not defensively. These guys as slick as they come at the shortstop position.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Sounds good to me. Let's get some runs. Look at Harrison at third. Wow. He gets up and Alvarez scoops. I don't know if Alvarez makes that play last year. He might get the ball, but
Harrison, a really good first step, and then the dive to his left, quickly gets to his feet. He too throws it in the dirt over there, testing Alvarez once again. A couple of bad throws in the dirt, but so far Alvarez has been able to handle it.
You know, there are a lot of Josh Harrisons in the game that play the game over the years, and that's guys who are very talented, just need an opportunity to go into the right team.
You know, Josh was basically a utility player for him last year. He played a little outfield. He played second base. He played third base. But now with the move of Alvarez across the diamond, as we mentioned, it opens up an everyday job for Josh Harrison.
And how about the difference from the start of this young man's career last year under Inciarte to the end of the season and now into this season? And he came up. He could knock the bat out of his hands. He's a pest. He's got Harrison pulled. And again, they've got the shift on with Inciarte at the plate. Is that just trying to play mind games with him?
I doubt it. I mean, I wouldn't think they would risk putting themselves out of a defensive position just to try to get inside of a guy's head. But it really is puzzling to me. We watch Ender play every ball game, and as I said in his first at bat, he hits as many balls to the left side as he does to the right side. And you would think, especially against a hard thrower like Garrett Cole, pouring that fastball in there at 96.
The outfield defense is pretty much straight up. But again, there's that big hole right there. And his last at bat, leading off in the first inning, he hit one to the left side, but it was a high chopper that there's one back up the net. He won't get that one. I bet you that shifts off next time. Or not as exaggerated.
You just wonder what the Pirates are basing it on. You know, they have advanced scouts that watch teams in advance of a series, and I'm sure the Pirates have a real good look at Ender Inciarte. Not to mention all the video scouting that's done nowadays, but for some reason they feel that's the best way to defend against him. We hope he stays that way the whole series.
I think it's playing into Ender's hands. All right, here is Pollock now, with a man on and 2 men out. Well, the Pirates started a 2-run rally. Got 2 runs in the second inning. Low and outside. With Inciarte and Pollock hitting 1-2, it's like having 2 leadoff guys up there at the top. And if one doesn't get on, the other guy's very capable of being on base for Goldie next. And both are off to solid starts. Pollock's hitting .352. Broken bat and base hit into right. Inciarte will go to third. Blanco will come up throwing into second. Here's a 2-out rally. You see anything different the second time around for the first two hitters against Cole?
No, not really. Ender just got a good pitch to hit. AJ got lucky right there, hit that ball right off the end of the bat, but got just enough of it to get it out there into right field. Against a good pitcher like Garrett Cole, you just have to be ready to hit mistakes. Because if he's pounding that fastball in the corners and dropping that slider on the outside corner to righties, you're not going to do much against him. But if he throws a fastball over the heart of the plate or leaves a slider inside too far, that's when you can do your damage. You just have to make sure not to miss those mistakes.
Well, here's Goldie. He's the tying run to the plate. 3 of his 5 home runs this season have been on the first pitch of the at-bat. He swings here and misses strike 1. He's been swinging a lot at first pitches. He walked his first time up. He's off to his best start in the month of April in his career. Remember, he came up in 2011 in August. 2013 very well could have been the MVP. Swing and a miss. Cole just blew that one right by him. 97. A little extra on that one.
It's this old country hardball right there. 4-seam fastball. I'm going to aim right for the middle of the plate, throw it as hard as I can.
0-2 now on Goldie. Back-to-back 2-out hits in Ciardi and Pollock. Ground ball to short with a runner going off second. Mercer's got it. And across to Alvarez, and Cole gets out of it. So the Diamondbacks 2 2-out hits. They're left on. Still 3-0 Pittsburgh. Game time 5:10, and be sure to come early. The first 20,000 fans through the gates get the Paul Goldschmidt camp courtesy of Sanderson Ford. Buy tickets now at dbacks.com. It's a good looking hat. A steer rank here to Marte from Coleman. Josh had his first shutdown inning in the third. Goldie was up as a tying run in that last half inning, but Cole got him with a ground ball. Another strike. And the count quickly goes to 0-2. Missed inside. Well, we're hoping that Bert will be back with us tomorrow night. You said he had some kind of a record going.
Yeah,
right?
he had quite a streak, 315 consecutive games.
Wow.
Now, I mentioned Cal Ripken made it up to 2,632, so Bert's only 2,317 games short of that.
He's no Bert Ripken. Swinging strike 3 for Marte.
Doing 150 games a season and taking about 15 and a half years to catch up with the Ripper, so don't worry about it, Bert. You just get well and get back.
A little bit of a bug going around. Coleman gets his first strikeout of the night, and that'll bring up Alvarez. We have the 2013 co-home run champs here tonight. This guy and our guy at first, Paul Goldschmidt, each hit 36. If you know the answer to this, you're really good. It's going to be an out. Owens to Goldschmidt, and Alvarez is out number 2. Pedro Alvarez was drafted 2nd overall in 2008. Who was the first pick in 2008?
Francisco Cervelli.
Like I said, if you get this, you're excellent.
Uncle, I give up.
Tim Beckham, a shortstop taken by the Tampa Bay Rays. I remember the name, and that's about the extent of it. Well, Coleman now has retired the last 4 of those on ground ball outs. And here is Francisco Cervelli. Strike 1. I like that name, Francisco Cervelli.
Sounds like that to be the chef in an Italian restaurant.
Yeah. He played for Team Italy in the World Games.
We were talking about Russell Martin not with the Pirates this year, and we had heard he was such a big part of the team and a leader and all that, and I'm sure he was on the field, but they say he was very quiet off the field. Cervelli, anything but. He's one of those guys in the clubhouse, not afraid to make his voice heard. He has a little bit of fun.
Chirping a little bit?
Chirping a little bit. Keep things loose.
Well, the Pirates' last 2 starting catchers both come from New York. Russell Martin came from the Yankees. Cervelli came from the Yankees. In the right center, but Pollock hadn't played well. And he goes over as Trumbo ducks out of the way. Well, here what's next, brought to you by CenturyLink. CO's bat's getting hot. A home run a couple of nights ago. He'll come up to the plate. When the Diamondbacks hit in the 4th, they trail 3-0.
Is brought to you in part by Chaz Roberts, Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz.
Western night here at the ballpark. Right now, it's a little do-si-do for the Pirates. Are up 3-0. Bottom of the 4th inning. Diamondbacks need to get some runs. They started to get a little bit last inning. First 2 knocks, 2 outs. Singles by Inciardi and Pollock, but Cole got Goldie on a grounder to short to end the inning. Trumbo will lead it off. Tomas and Owens. A strike call. Breaking pitch from Garrett Cole.
Second time through the order for the Diamondbacks. Inciarte, Pollock, and Goldie all had their second at bat back in that 3rd inning. 2 of the 3 got hits. Sometimes it takes a little while. You see the release point and the action on the pitches. Just kind of gauge the speed of that fastball and then try to work off of that to battle his off-speed pitches.
That ball is laced to right center field. And that is into the pool. A ground pool double for Mark Trumbo. Well, he got up on top of that ball, which was up anyway.
Mark will occasionally chase that high fastball a little higher than he can handle, but this is something we saw going all the way back to spring training, him chasing those high fastballs and tomahawking it to the opposite field.
Yasmani Tomas.
Nice quick hands down and through that ball. Got tremendous carry. Bounced off the warning track and up into the RamTrucks.com pool area.
I'm sure Garrett Cole thought there was no way that pitch was going to be hit.
I think Polanco thought the same thing in right field. He had a terrible jump on that ball.
Now Tomas. And a drive to right, but that's going to hang for Polanco and runs it down. And Trumbo's got to stay at second. Well, Tomas, who likes to swing early in the count, is the first out of the inning.
Second baseman, Chris Owings.
He got a good break on that ball. Here's Chris Owings. You recall last year, Chris Owings was the National League Rookie of the Month for the month of April. Had a solid first month. And then injuries took him out about the halfway part of the season. Strike one on him. Chris hit .313 last April. Had 26 hits. Grounded to short. Trumbo trying to go to third. Runs into the out. Well, it was in front of him, and he tried to charge through to third. And Mercer, taking that runner out of scoring position, gets the out over there, 6-5.
You know, we mentioned Chris Owings has improved considerably in recent ball games. You're going to see on the left one of his swings earlier this season against the Padres. Feet moving all over the place, just kind of reaching for the ball. In the right, this is a more recent at bat. As a matter of fact, I believe this is his home run to left field. Had his solid base underneath him. He was standing a little bit more upright. Whatever the reason for the changes, I think they've worked out pretty well for CO.
Tuffy fouls one right back this way. Boy, you and Bert had one in the booth the other night. Had a lot of hair on it coming up here.
Just came whizzing over the monitors, hit the backdrop here.
I saw that. I was moving over. I'm just to the right of Bert, where he sits there, and I was even moving. I thought that ball was coming into our booth in the radio set.
Normally, I will try to make a play if I can, but I wanted nothing to do with that one.
Whoops.
Oh.
Took a header.
There you got it. All right.
He's got a Pirate uni on. Walker.
Neil Walker fan. Neil's much more athletic.
Fouled by Temple. Well, he's got a good spirit about it.
You all right, sir? Safe.
Tuffy hasn't homered yet this year. In fact, his only major league home run came at Wrigley Field last year against Jason Hamill. Diamondbacks down 3. Tuffy's still looking for his first extra base hit. Now be a good time to get it. Owings great speed over at first base. He'll be running with 2 men out. Find that gap somewhere, Tuffy. Get on the board. Ooh, CO almost slipped off the bag there.
Yeah, and a couple previous pitches there to Tuffy. Watch Cervelli behind the plate. This is a foul ball, but he was ready to pick at first base. Those are things you like your advanced scout to notice. Now, there was no pickoff attempt at first base because the ball was fouled out of play. But had that ball gotten through, he was going to try to pick at first base. Those are the kind of things you want to know going into a series. Does their catcher like to throw behind runners? And that won't go down anywhere as a pickoff attempt, but it was clear that's what Cervelli was going to do had Tuffy taken that pitch.
Well, there are a lot of scouts right behind home plate. watching the Diamondbacks and Pirates. I'm guaranteeing they saw that. They're watching that. They're jotting that down in their books. Still great to see all the scouts here at the games, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a nice stop for the scouts. A lot of them live here in Arizona, and this is great. They catch all the National League teams and the occasional interleague play coming through.
Second strikeout of the night for Cole. He gets Tuffy. Diamondbacks a double to lead it off, but they can't get the run in. They're still down 3-0.
Is brought to you in part by your Valley Honda dealer, where you'll get more standard features for less money. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Mix One, great taste, no face, available at local retailers.
Josh Coleman are back to work as we head to the 5th inning. I'm Greg Schulte in for Steve Berthiaume tonight, along with Bob Brenly. Diamondbacks trailing 3-0, and the first two up in this inning were responsible for that 2-run second inning. 2 out hits by Mercer. The shortstop, the number 8 hitter, the pitcher Cole, his first hit of the season. And then the 2-run double by Josh Harrison. I heard, again, there were 2 outs in the inning when that rally started. Into the dirt, ball 1. Goldie way off the bag at first, and about where he is right now is where Mercer lined his single through that right side, first time out. You'll take that strike on there.
High changeup. That's definitely not where Josh wants to throw that pitch, but you'll take a called strike if you can get it.
Missed away. Nice cool breeze blowing through the ballpark right now. Sure, we're in Arizona. We're on April 24th. I guess we're out. High, ball 3.
Well, it's chillier than we're used to, but obviously it's a little bit cold for Garrett Cole. He got his hoodie on in the on-deck circle.
Now, I watched their game yesterday, and it was freezing in Pittsburgh. Their game with the Cubs. In the air, center field. We'll get to the game early this Sunday for the 1:10 matchup against Pirates. The Los D-backs Fiesta de la Familia Multicultural Street Festival, courtesy of Fry's Food Stores, will be happening before the game, 11 to 1. Enjoy live music, food trucks, beer, and Alto's Tequila Zone. Entertainment prizes and much more. For tickets and visit dbacks.com/Fiesta. Garrett Cole's on the highway. Well, 143 now the average.
On that interstate.
Yeah. He had a single to right field his first time up. The next 2 pitchers the Diamondbacks face in this series both have no hitters in their careers. A.J. Burnett and Francisco Liriano. Different teams. Burnett, long time. He had one of the wackiest no hitters you ever want to see. He walked, I think, 9 in his game. A lot like the Edwin Jackson no hitter. And Liriano pitched one with Minnesota when his earned run average, I believe, going to that game was over 9.
A lot of people think the man at the plate right now, Garrett Cole's going to throw a no-hitter before all is said and done.
So that's a strikeout for Cole Mentor. It's number 2 on the night. Now time to take a look at our Chevron upcoming pitching matchups. Ruby tomorrow night against Burnett.
De La Rosa looking to whittle away at that ERA a little bit. He was pretty good last time out. Showed a good fastball of his own. It'll go along with that straight changeup. Had a better breaking ball last time out. A.J. Burnett, as you mentioned, threw an ugly no-hitter. He's one of those guys that if he's on top of his game and he's throwing his secondary pitches for strikes, he can be really, really tough. If he's not using those secondary pitches, he can get real stubborn and throw a lot of very hittable fastballs.
Back with the Pirates after a year away. Harrison takes the ball inside. Harrison's got the big hit in this game, that 2-run double with 2 out in the second inning. And he's going the other way again. Trumbo on the right. Trumbo on the right. And he got it. Trumbo runs it down in right on the warning track. Nice play, Mark. Ends the inning. 1, 2, 3. Go the Bucks. Coleman will lead it off with the Diamondbacks bat mid-5th. Down 3. The ages of 10 through 14, then come out Sunday to Chase Field for the Fox Sports Arizona and Sanderson Ford Kid Castro audition from 11:30 to 1:30 at the Sandlot near Baxter's Den during the D-backs Pirates game. Yeah, they would qualify, I'm guessing. 1-1 on Cole Mentor, again batting 8th in the order tonight, with Ahmed hitting 9th. The guy takes on that yet, Davey? The pitcher 8th, ground ball.
I get the theory, the idea being that the number 9 hitter ideally gets on base, and then you roll around to the top of the order and possibly more runners on base for your number 3 hitter. Tony did it in St. Louis when he had Mark McGwire hitting in that 3 spot. I think it helps you as much as it hurts you. There's going to be situations when you want that 8 hitter to be an offensive player, and you have the pitcher hitting there, and there are other situations where you like having that 9 guy getting on base ahead of the top of the order.
It worked the other night. Peralta came up and delivered a sacrifice fly as a pinch hitter in that 2-run 8th inning. Ahmed fouls it back. Then Ahmed walked the next bat. Game the Diamondbacks 1-8-5. Ahmed is grounded to third in his only at bat tonight. Diamondbacks have 3 hits. The Bucks have 5. They've got all the runs. And that's the only column that counts, right? Unless they've changed.
At the end of the day, that's the only one that matters.
Now, if you're playing fantasy, that's a little different, maybe. But
I didn't let Candy rope me into that stuff.
0-2 here. They kind of spiked that ball. But there's that catcher blocking that ball.
Boy, I love to see people keeping score out here at the ballpark.
That's confidence right there when you do it in pen.
Yeah.
You do it?
Pencil.
Pencil. I do it in pencil. Candiati does it in pen. Bert started in pen, went to pencil. Swing and miss. He went fishing. Didn't get a bite. 3rd strikeout for Cole. 2 quick outs here in the inning.
Left field.
Ciarte.
As a catcher with 2 strikes, you got to block everything just in case it is a strike 3. And watch as Cervelli picks this ball up and takes several steps backwards to clear the base runner. He wanted to make sure he didn't hit Nick Ahmed in the back with that throw, so he backpedaled about 4 or 5 steps into the infield before throwing on to first.
And if you don't think that hasn't happened before, hitting a runner, contraire.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever do it?
I hit a few guys. Some intentional, some accidental.
Ender had a hit his first time, and they keep that shift on again. 3 on the right side.
You always look for that guy that's running inside the baseline.
Yeah, that's interference.
That's free target.
Yeah,
you know.
Ground ball into that shift. Walker will throw him out. And the Diamondbacks in order for the second time in 5 innings off Garrett Cole. Right now it's making it look pretty easy. 3-0 Bucks.
Third season having a leadership council with this group, and yes, they did lose Russell Martin in the offseason, a big part of the leadership on this team, but Hurdle told me today he feels good about the leaders. In fact, on the council, 7 guys representing each position: AJ Burnett, Francisco Liriano, a couple of relievers in Mark Melanson, Tony Watson, Cervelli, the catchers on this leadership council, as well as Neil Walker and Andrew McCutcheon. It's to speak openly about things that might be going on in the clubhouse. Feel free to have an open door policy. And Jeff Bannister, who was Hurdle's bench coach in Pittsburgh, he's taken that philosophy over to the Texas Rangers. He's the head man over there now. So, Bob Brenly, I'm curious, from your perspective, do you like that idea as a manager?
Well, I like the idea that the players get involved in the decision-making process. I'm sure Clint Hurdle has the last word if it's something he feels strongly about. But I talked to Clint last year about it, and it's a lot of things that really have nothing to do with baseball. Stanley Cup playoffs are going on right now, and on one of the road trips, the guys wanted to wear hockey jerseys for the teams that they were supporting. Other times, do we want to leave tonight after the game to go to the next city, or since tomorrow's an off day, do we want to sleep in and fly in later in the day? And a lot of those things go to the committee to vote on before Clint makes his final decision.
Goldie will retire Polanco over first. But yeah, it's not personnel decisions or anything like that. It's like you said, yeah.
Day-to-day operation of a ball club. Hey, listen, maybe we could start batting practice 15 minutes earlier. That would give us 15 minutes on the other end. A little more time to grab a bite to eat or get some treatment in the training room. Just little things that come up over the course of a baseball player's day.
So Polanco is retired. Another ground ball out for Coleman. He's on a roll right now. He is now retired. What is it, 11 in a row? 10 in a row. Here's McCutchen. The last man to reach was that double by Harrison in the second inning. He gets a strike in. And the difference in the innings, 20 pitches for Josh in the first inning, 21 in the second, 10 in the third, 10 in the fourth, 12 in the fifth. And they know he's throwing strikes, not walking anybody, so they're swinging when they see a ball that's to their liking. Ketchin thought that one was to his liking, but he found out differently.
Josh throwing a lot more first pitch off speed, either the big slow curve or the straight changeup.
Foul it in and out of the mitt of Tuffy.
So far, 3+ starts this season. Josh has been using that changeup a lot more than he did last year. I speculated that perhaps it was because he's been in trouble a lot, especially in those first 2 starts of the season. He's throwing his changeup about 6% of the time more than he did last year. That's not uncommon. You get a guy that relies so heavily on that changeup, especially in tough situations. And when you find yourself in those tough situations, you go right back to your comfort zone. There was a changeup right there to strike out McCutchen.
Several. And gets McCutchen. That's strikeout number 3 for Coleman.
Boy, when he gets it going down like that from that straight over the top delivery and drives either his fastball or his changeup down to the bottom of the knees, very tough for a hitter to identify one from the other.
Neil Walker with an RBI single as he comes to the plate with 2 out, nobody on here in the 6th. Strike 1. Ooh, that looks good. That looks real good. I still don't know. I forgot dinner. I guess I was just too old. Ground ball to second. Owens has got it on the Goldie. And that's the 4th consecutive 1-2-3 inning for Mr. Coleman. Get him some runs, guys. 3-0 Bucks.
Coming up, Diamondbacks Live, Todd Walsh with Brandon Webb. Greg Schulte just talked about it, Brandon. Josh Colmenter on a roll. He's put it together after a rough start, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's really settled in nicely. He's utilizing his off-speed pitches a lot better, even starting out hitters with his changeup and curveballs more so than he did in the first couple innings. But ever since Josh Harrison hit that two-run double in the second inning, he's been lights out.
We will take a much closer look at that. Back to the broadcast booth we go. And Bob Brenly, get Greg Schulte something to eat, man. Take care of your partner. Help a brother out.
I thought maybe you would help out a little bit, Todd. You know, find one of the vendors that's close to the press box elevator and pull your 6-shooter on him.
6-shooter.
Oh, yeah.
Well, one pitch, one out here for Garrett Cole. As Pollock fouls out to Polanco.
Yeah, did you see the picture? Look at this. Yeah.
I did.
Wow, that is a serious mullet.
And Todd said he didn't know it was a mullet.
Give me those hot dogs.
1-1 on Goldie. Goldie is walked tonight. And with runners at first and third, up as a tying run in the third inning. Cole got him on a grounder to short. Manny with the bases empty. Todd and I were locked up working at KTAR in those days when he was a gunslinger. There's a shot, base hit in the left for Goldie. So his 8-game hitting streak come to an end the other night. He starts a new one tonight. Well, let's see if that starts a rally.
Just lightning quick. We talk about for a big guy, a big power hitter like Paul Goldschmidt, he gets the bat through the zone as quickly as a lot of leadoff hitters.
I know when you rejoined the Diamondbacks, you were anxious to see this guy play on an everyday basis.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, I'd heard so much about him, and I'd heard some labels. He's all offense. He can't play his. Oh, come on. He's one of the best defensive first basemen I've ever seen. He is the total package. We had a play earlier in the ball game back in that first inning, as a matter of fact, after Goldie had walked with 2 outs in the inning and Mark Trumbo hit a lazy fly ball to right field, third out of the inning. Goldie was sprinting around the bases.
Only stopped after he passed third. And
after he passed third, and the out was recorded. He kept running until he had to stop.
Mark just missed on that. Catching coming on, and he'll make the catch for out number 2. When we say he just missed on that, a lot of times it can just be a little bit on that bat.
Yeah, here was Goldie on that fly ball to right field by Mark Trumbo with 2 outs. He was running on the pitch. Just put his head down and run. Don't look over your shoulder. Don't slow down. Go hard until Andy Green stops you at third base. And here's why. This was the last game against the Rangers. Similar situation. Goldie running hard. They couldn't make the play in center field. He comes all the way around from first base and scores on a single. Not very many middle of the lineup power hitters will do that.
Yasmani Tomas takes a strike. Yasmani another start at third tonight. And he's grounded out and he's flying to right field. Well, that'll be a good time for that first major league home run. Or a hit. Let's keep the inning going. Tomas has had one play at third tonight, and that was on a relay throw. And he took a tough hop, made a tag at third base to get the final out of that second inning. Now leaving the count of the ball and a strike. The bleachers, for the most part, are pretty well filled here tonight. Nice Friday night crowd. Hoping for more tomorrow night. Come on out to the ballpark. Ground ball right side. Throw a base hit. Goldie will go to. No, stop at second. Polanco. He knew where Polanco was positioned. He was charging hard, so he stopped at second.
Tomas hits a lot of balls that direction through that right side. Alvarez a little lackadaisical bouncing off the bag to possibly field that ball. I'm not sure if that's why Garrett Cole was upset or just that he made a bad pitch to Tomas.
Chris Owings 0 for 2. But he's been swinging a hot bat of late. Swing and a miss here. Started him off soft. Strike one. Oh, one of your
first pitch slider.
One of your keys to the game was get some run support for Josh Coleman. None so far.
I think we're up to 37 innings now, and over his last 6 home starts, and only 3 runs in support.
For a guy who pitches really well here at Chase Field, his career ERA is among the best. And after a slow start the first 2 innings, he has really settled in. He's given his club a chance to bounce back. They haven't yet. Maybe this will be the inning.
Cole really got underneath that slider. It was flat. It almost looked like it was rising as it got into the hitting zone. Really got underneath this pitch. Big flat slider about letter high off the plate away.
Where the catcher makes the catch and he's actually looking to the backstop. Did he get by me? No, it's in the glove.
Well, that will occasionally happen. I used to catch a pitcher by the name of Mike Lacoste with the Giants who threw a really good split-fingered fastball, and maybe 7 out of 10 would go straight down, exactly what you expected them to do. But the other 3 might rise, they may go inside, they may go outside. Never knew quite where it was going to go.
That made your job a little more interesting behind the plate, didn't it?
Well, it made him real tough to hit, I know that. I chased a few to the backstop.
3-1 on Owings. Tuffy's next. You know, he doesn't want to load the bases here. Back up the middle, and a play. They're going to make a play at the plate on Goldie, and he's safe. He's slid under the tag by Cervelli. I don't see any argument from Cervelli. Clint Hurst takes a step out of the dugout, and he's looking into the dugout. Do we want to replay this, guys? Well, it was a heck of a play by Walker, I think, who got the ball, right? Second baseman.
Way out in shallow center field, and here's Goldie once again with 2 outs in the inning. Go hard on everything. He's not sure if that ball's through into center field or not. You see Andy Green waving him. Looked like Goldie was dead to rights at home plate. It looked like Cervelli had the ball in the glove, or rather in the hand, not the glove, and by the time he applied the tag, Goldie was on the plate.
And Clint Hurdle now coming out to the home plate umpire.
And Cervelli made a fundamental mistake there too. He went after the runner instead of going to the plate. Watch him go up the third baseline.
Goldie's got the plate there, and he didn't tag him from what I see until after.
I mean, where's the runner going? He's going to home plate, so that's where your tag should go, not up the third baseline. Yeah, he's safe either way. Yeah.
I don't think this will take long. I don't think this will take long. Garrett Cole thought he was out. You saw the pump.
The call on the field is that the runner was safe at home.
Well, it's another replay review brought to you by Mix One. Jerry Davis, the crew chief, is on, along with the home plate umpire Tony Randazzo. They're showing the replay here on the big board. Safe. And the Diamondbacks are on the board to make it 3-1. Let's get a little more reaction here. The run counts.
That's another thing. We've been talking all inning about things Goldie does that no other middle of the lineup power hitter does. How about that slide at home plate?
Owens is credited with an infield hit and a run batted in. It's a 3-1 game, and now Tuffy gets a chance. Well, that's a big first run to pick up here.
Just get that donut off the scoreboard. Go to work.
Foul back. I've been trying to talk Tuffy into that first extra base hit of the season. Here he is. Goldschmidt. 14th run he scored this year, which leads the club. Tuffy foul again. And I really think Walker's throws, we see Brad Ziegler getting ready in the bullpen. Sanderson Ford bullpen. Look at Brad Ziegler, but I think Walker was surprised as anybody to see Goldie go into the plate. Tuffy swings and misses. So Cole will get a strikeout, but Paul Goldschmidt's nice slide keyed the inning, got the Diamondbacks a run. They're on the board as we go to the final three of this one. 7th inning. It's 3-1 Pittsburgh. Yankees host the first place Mets. The Rangers can put an end to Sidney Crosby's season. And the Mavericks take the floor without Rondo, trying to avoid an 0-3 hole against the Rockets. Stick around after the game. Fire Fox Sports Live. We go to the 7th in this one. Josh Coleman will deal with Starling Marte, Pedro Alvarez, and Francisco Cervelli after Paul Goldschmidt. And his slide across the plate, meeting the tag of Cervelli, got the Diamondbacks on the board. And lined in the left, and that's a hit. And that snaps a streak of 12 in a row. Inciarte plays the ricochet, and it's a leadoff double for Marte. You know the Pirates would like nothing better to get that run right back, but they just surrendered.
Pedro Alvarez.
Oliver Perez now is in the bullpen for the Diamondbacks. The Sanderson Ford bullpen. He joins Ziegler. Left-right combination. Here comes Chip Hale. And he's probably going to go get Ollie. Looking down there. Not yet, though. No decision made yet. Coleman came into this inning, Bob Brenly, having retired 12 in a row, but Marte jumped on the first one. And we're going to go to break. Pitching change here. Perez will come on. Coleman gets a nice hand as he heads to the dugout. His team trailing 3-1. are our Cox Gig Life high-speed highlights here tonight. 3-1 Pittsburgh. A couple of changes for you. We have a new pitcher, Oliver Perez, veteran left-hander. And he's not going to face Pedro Alvarez. He's going to face the veteran Corey Hart, who's got some really good pitch hit numbers for the Pirates this season.
See the numbers for Oli Perez on the season. Not only that, but Corey Hart has some real good career numbers against the Diamondbacks left-hander. A .462 lifetime average, 6 for 13 with a homer and a double.
Corey Hart, his 1,000th career hit on April 13th was a home run off Anibal Sanchez. And a ground ball just foul past third base. Boy, this guy was a really good ball player with Milwaukee, and injuries have hurt him the last few years. Was with Seattle last year, but he's 3 for 6 with a pinch home run and 4 runs batted in. Off the bench this year for Clint Hurdle.
When he was fully healthy early on in his career, he was a 5-tool guy. Had a cannon for a throwing arm from the outfield. Could steal a base, could hit for power, hit for average. Just one thing after another keeping him off the field or at less than 100% effectiveness.
He had back-to-back years in 07, 08, 24 homers, 23 steals, 20 homers, 23 steals. Hit a career-high 31 home runs for Milwaukee in 2010. Swing and a miss. Perez has gotten ahead of him 0-2. Well, Ollie could use an out here without that runner advancing to third base. Leadoff double by Starling Marte, and that was the night for Josh Collmenter. Josh had retired 12 in a row before the double. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. That's a big first out. And that runner's still perched at second base.
Well, getting out without contact. Good biting slider heading down toward that back foot. Got the swing and a miss from Corey Hart, and now Chip Hale's going to go to the bullpen once again.
Yeah, job well done, Oliver Perez. 3 pitches, 3 strikes and an out. And we'll come back with a little bit more as Brad Ziegler's going to come in for the bullpen.
Brought to you in part by Panda Express, introducing Chinese spare ribs, and by First Bank, member of FDIC.
A little history in the making here tonight with the emergence of Brad Ziegler out of the bullpen. Brad Ziegler tonight is tying Jose Valverde, Papa Grande, for most career appearances by a Diamondback pitcher. 253. Valverde in 03 to 07. Ziegler started his Diamondback career in 2011. BK was on that list at 245.
Oh, yeah.
Well, runner at second. Marte, Cervelli at the plate, facing Ziegler. Perez did his job getting a strike out of the pinch hitter Hart. Strike one.
476 appearances by Brad Ziegler, the most in the majors since 2008. Matt Thornton in second place on that list, and Francisco Rodriguez right behind.
Brad has had an outstanding start to his season. And it's fouled. He's a great weapon to have. I mean, you can use him closing ball games. You could use him in the 8th inning. You can use him for double play situations or situations like this. You never get tired of using him either. Right, he's 0 for 5 against him this year. One ball, 2 strikes. Diamondbacks just got a run in the bottom of the 6th inning to pull to within 2. Marte doubled to start this inning. That was it for Coleman. Perez came in, got the strikeout. Now it's Ziegler trying to get Cervelli and then Mercer. A couple of right-handed hitters. Another frisbee sails outside. Cervelli's really got a wide open stance up there at the plate. Josh watching on. Well, he gave his team a chance.
Yeah, he did. Finally scored a run while Josh was in the game. It was a single run to put the D-backs on the board tonight.
A hustle run. Yeah, they're just trying to see if Marte was paying attention. Sometimes these situations with one out, you see that guy at second base try and swipe third, and Marte can steal.
Yeah, especially with the bottom of the order up at the plate.
Popped up foul back and out of play.
And if you're in the middle of the lineup with your RBI guys, maybe you don't take so many chances, but with the 7, 8, 9 hitters due up now, if you think you can get a jump out there at second base, now would be the time to do it with one out in the inning.
Cervelli giving him a good battle here. A 2-2 count.
Well, one thing that really works in the Diamondbacks' favor here is the fact that Chris Owings, you can see how close he is to second base. Now, this is not a shift for Cervelli. This is just CO trying to hold Polanco a little bit closer to the bag at second. And he can do that because Goldie plays so far off the line at first base. He can cover that right side of the infield and free up CO to kind of hold that runner at second base. If you've got a stationary first baseman who plays close to the foul line, that Chris Owings couldn't afford to cheat that close to second base. It would leave too big of a hole in the right side of the infield.
You can see how far Goldschmidt is off the bag at first and away from that line. Cervelli's seen a lot of pitches here. This is the 8th pitch of the at-bat coming up against Ziegler. And a fly ball, center field, easy for Pollock. Starting Marte will stay at second, 2 down. So 2 outs. Baseball is finally here and is happening all around us. So grab a Pepsi, some friends, and get out to a D-backs game and live it. It's for the thrill of the game. Pepsi Live for now. Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Jordy Mercer is going to get an intentional pass with Cole on deck. Diamondbacks are convinced, I guess, that he is going to stay in the ball game. Nobody is up in the bullpen for Pittsburgh, and they will set up the force situation and take their chances with the pitcher.
Now notice on an intentional walk, Brad Ziegler throws a high 3/4. That submarine sidearm delivery that he throws against hitters who are trying to hit him. But just to walk a guy, he goes up top and throws 3/4.
This is the first walk of the ball game, and it's an intentional walk. And it comes in the 7th inning. Here's ball 4. Cole's got a hit tonight. Singled and scored in the 2nd inning and then struck out in the 5th.
Pitcher Garrett Cole.
No walks for Josh Colmentor tonight. That continues his streak. 19 straight starts without allowing more than 2 walks.
Well, that keeps that whip down.
Yeah, it makes the other team work hard to score runs.
Yep. Fewer base runners. You have to earn your way on with the hits. Cole a chopper down to third for Tomas, and he will step on the bag, and that'll end the inning. No runs, a hit, a leadoff double, 2 stranded. Nice job by the Diamondback bullpen. And Colmentor have got the Diamondbacks to the 7th, still in reach. Is ready to take you to a Diamondbacks game. Stop by this month's participating Cox Solutions store at Tempe Marketplace to enter for a chance to win 2 seats on the Fan Express bus. You receive round-trip transportation to the Diamondbacks game May 9th. Hurry, registration ends this Monday. For more information, visit foxsportsarizona.com. New first baseman. Remember, they pitched it for Alvarez, so it's Sean Rodriguez who plays everywhere. First base tonight. And the Diamondbacks will send up as a pinch hitter here to start the bottom of the 7th, Danny Dorn. I know you and Bert had talked about Dorn and what a great story this is. Almost 1,000 minor league games and 3,200 minor league at bats. Finally in the big leagues for the first time at 30 years old, and he swings and misses strike 1.
I was so impressed by his first at bat at the major league level after everything he went through. As you said, he went up there and worked a walk, had a good hack at the very first pitch, and then ended up drawing a base on balls.
He swings and misses here, and he's in the hole 0-2. Well, we saw a lot of Danny Dorn in spring. The Diamondbacks used him a lot. Played late in ball games a lot of times when Goldie had left over at first base. He can play the corner outfield spots. Had some ABs as a pinch hitter. He swings and misses here, and Cole carved him up there. 1 down. Cole's 5th strikeout of the night. 1 out in the D-backs 7th. Well, you get an idea of what the Pirates think of Garrett Cole. They think of him as their ace, and he probably is in that role right now with the Pirates at a very young age, and a guy who's going to take them late into a ball game. 98-84. That's a big differential of 14 miles per hour. Here's Ahmed. Strike 1. Nick's 0 for 2. He's grounded to third, and he is struck out swinging. Had to be thrown out by the catcher Cervelli. And late, baby. 7th inning. 2 runs down yet. Cole's throwing nothing but strikes this inning.
Pitch count still in real good shape for the Pirates right-hander. Only 82 pitches in the ball game to this point.
A little dangerous picking that ball up barehanded like that, but it worked for Cole, and he gets Ahmed for out number 2.
Well, we have a moment. Let's take a look at this day in Major League Baseball history presented by Geico. Back in 1965, Casey Stengel, the old professor, won his 3,000th game as a manager, beat the Giants 7-6 at Candlestick Park that night.
The old professor. Yeah. Did you ever meet him?
No, I never did.
Stengelese.
He was quite a character, though. You know, baseball doesn't have a lot of characters like that anymore, you know?
They took over the Metropolitans, the Mets, lost 120 games.
Can't anybody here play this game?
With players like Choo-Choo Coleman and Marv Throneberry. I think they had 3 20-game losers that year, didn't they? Strike one. Was Roger Craig one of those?
Roger Craig was one of them, yeah.
Take Al Jackson. Inciardi 1 for 3 tonight. Diamondbacks have 6 hits, same total as Pittsburgh. Inciardi's hit was in the 3rd. Again, we see the shift on, and he beats the shift on over the head of Harrison into left field. His single the other night, 2 for 4. But what that does now, getting one guy on, gets the time into the plate.
Nice job battling that slider, trying to work its way down and in. Ender kept his hands inside the baseball, just over the head of the 5'8" Josh Harrison. Playing shallow, protecting against a possible bunt.
A.J. Pollock has 1 home run, and that was that pinch home run against the Giants in that extra inning game in the last road trip. He's got a hit tonight. Throw over. Runner gets back. I mentioned Sean Rodriguez. He can play anywhere in the field. Any one of the infield positions, any one of the outfield positions. They got him from Tampa Bay. And he's a guy that Clint Hurdle will utilize a lot in the game now at first base. He's still got that fastball getting up there in a hurry. He threw a 95-96 this late in the game. There's a crowd. Ooh. 0-2. AJ didn't think that one got the plate. Nice words with Tony Randazzo. Well, if Pollock can get on, you get Goldie next. That was off.
Just off that inside corner down there at the knees.
Down the right field line, long run for Polanco. Line, out of play.
Garrett Cole doesn't need any help. He doesn't need 3 or 4 inches off the corner. I've talked about it before. For a hitter, you can see that inside pitch, whether it's on the plate or off the plate, because you look straight down, and if you can see dirt between the ball and the inside corner of the plate, you know it was inside. AJ probably tried to convey those very sentiments to Tony Randazzo.
I don't think he was buying them. There's Goldie. Let's see him get another at bat with runners on. And not this time. Check swing, strike 3. Pollock rung up, and the inning is over. 6 strikeouts, 2 in the inning. You'll see the indecision. I want to go. I got to stop. Too late. 3-1 Pittsburgh. Garrett Cole's been tough here tonight. Josh Coleman. 6 innings, 6 hits and 3 runs, 3 strikeouts. Right now, the difference was that Harrison double in that 2nd inning.
Garrett Cole just hasn't given the Diamondbacks a lot of breathing room in this ballgame. Just haven't had a lot of opportunities. A couple of times a 2-out base hit would have done some damage, but he's a good-looking young right-hander.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 13 years. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in True HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more. Blackout rules apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. New pitcher for the Diamondbacks, Evan Marshall, takes over. Good job last inning by Oliver Perez and Brad Ziegler after a leadoff double knocked Josh Coleman from the game. Perez struck out the pinch hitter Hart. Ziegler got 2 outs to end it without any damage, and Josh Harrison takes strike 1. And he's having a few words with Tony Randazzo. Evan Marshall. Some Pirate fans here tonight. Probably flew in from Pittsburgh to get out of the cold. I would. I've seen several games over the last. That's not that late, guy. Come on. I've seen several games over the last week or so, where they're wearing those stocking masks, the players, just to try and stay warm. Snow. Ground ball is short. Ahmed's got it. Fires across to get Harrison on down.
While we have a moment, let's take some time for our Chaz Roberts air conditioning cool play of the game. A perfectly executed cutoff and relay, and a great pick at the end by Yasmani Tomas to get Josh Harrison on that key double. It drove in a couple for the Pirates, but could have been worse. Great play.
One down. Here's Polanco. Here's Yasmani. That's his only play of the night. Oh, I checked that. He had a force out at third. Polanco reached on a fielder's choice, stole a base, took third on a fly ball to right, and scored a run in the 1st inning on the hit by Walker. He went around there. The Pirates, their base coaches switched positions this year. Rick Sofield, who last year was at first base coaching, moved over to third base, and Nick Leva moved from third base to first base. You don't see that too often, but Clint Hurdle made the change. Sofield had coached third several years in the minors. Ground ball to short, tougher play, and look at how make it. Wow. Speedy runner, and how about that play?
Just no waste of time. That ball is in and out of his glove because he knows Polanco's motoring down that line. Notice he had his bare hand right there by his glove so he could make that quick exchange and then throw on the run just in time to get the out at first.
Yeah, he didn't put that hand in around the glove area too early, just at the right time. He can sure pick it. He doesn't use a very big glove either. You look at that thing. Here's Andrew McCutchen now. So Marshall's retired the first 2 here in the 8th. I don't think that batting average is going to stay down there too long. 189. It can for the rest of this series.
Yeah, a couple more days would be nice.
Now Owens, after 2 balls have been thrown, he's going to move to the left side. So they did not have the shift on originally. Now they've got 3 on the left side for McCutchen.
And the more the count is in his favor, the more likely he is to pull the ball. At least that's what the spray charts would say.
3-0. Andy Green.
Stands to reason if you're ahead in the count as a hitter, you're going to be a little more aggressive, try to get out there and really do some damage. If you're behind in the count, you're going to be a little more defensive, maybe a little behind the ball, and more likely to hit it the other way.
A 4-pitch walk for Evan Marshall. A 2-out walk, and the first unintentional walk of the night by either club.
Second baseman
Coleman didn't walk anybody. The Diamondbacks issued an intentional walk given by Ziegler in the 7th, and Cole hasn't walked anybody. And that gets Walker to the plate. And you saw Goldie and McCutchen striking up a conversation down there. Walker drove in the first inning run with a 2-out single to right. This one. I tend to agree with you, BB. That hit, it was a big play by Polanco on the second out of that inning when he took third on the fly ball to right field, because that ball that Walker hit just screamed out to right field. And I don't know if Polanco would have been hitting third by the time Trumbo came up with the ball. So it was a big play getting to third in that first inning. Got him a run. Marshall misses down low.
About to say there was a time earlier in his career where Andrew McCutchen probably would have been at second base already. He used to run a lot, had a high of 33 stolen bases in 2010. Only 18 last year, but 18 out of 21. So he's picking his spots a little better, not getting thrown out as much, just not stealing as much.
Missed away 2-1. Important right now with the bullpen to keep it a 3-1 ball game. Marshall just issued a 2-out walk to McCutchen. He's fallen behind Neil Walker, 2 balls and a strike. And a drive to center. AJ on his horse. Can he get there? No. Over his head up against the wall. And that will score McCutchen. Walker's driven in another, and it's 4-1 Pittsburgh. That ball was screamed to center field.
If you hit it over A.J. Pollock's head, it's hit hard. Count in his favor. We talked about aggressive swings when you're in a hitter's count, and Neil Walker sure took an aggressive swing at that one. Evan Marshall continuing to be plagued by fastball location. That one belt high, right down the middle of the plate. Can't make mistakes up there against big league hitters. Off the bat at 102 miles per hour.
Now we're going to get a mound visit by Mike Harkey with Marte at the plate and Sean Rodriguez on deck. Well, that's all 4 of the runs now for the Pirates tonight have come with 2 men out. All 4. Their first inning run, a 2-out hit by Walker. The 2-out 2-run double by Harrison in the second, and now the 2-out double by Walker here in the 8th. And when you're not hitting, you get those kind of hits like that, all of a sudden you are hitting. You're getting timely hits, big hits that really do some damage. Marte a double and 3 at-bats tonight. So Pittsburgh, which originally had a 3-0 lead, back to that 3-run lead, but it's 4-1. Walker's doing his damage this year against right-handers, batting left-hand. We mentioned he's a switch hitter. 6 extra base hits, all batting left-handed. There's a drive to right. Trumbo has got it, and the sign is retired. Boy, that 2-out walk really hurt. Got McCutchen on base. Goldie, Trumbo, and Tomas up. Diamondbacks need runs, are down 3.
to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Highest percentage of a team's home run total this season. Paul Goldschmidt sits atop the list with 45.4% of the Diamondbacks homers coming off the bat of Paul Goldschmidt, 5 of 11. David Peralta has a couple, 4 other players with 1 each. You can see the other names on that list.
I think the only surprising one me there might be J.D. Martinez in Detroit. He's turned into a pretty good ball player.
Yeah, well, especially because some of the other home run hitters they have on that team. Yeah, kind of surprising he's up at the top.
He fouls one away. The Diamondbacks now down 3 again. Goldzilla going to work. 24,427 here tonight on Western night at the ballpark. Ooh, good fastball and a good cut, but a swing and a miss.
Well, the Diamondbacks fans have not seen Garrett Cole before. This is what he is. I mean, this season, this is his 4th start of the year. His first start, he gave up 3 earned runs in 5 innings. Next 2 starts, he gave up 1 earned run each in 6 innings each. And then his last, or tonight rather, he's pitching here into the 8th inning, has given up 1 earned run once again. Very stingy.
Working with a 3-run lead. Goldie lays off, leaving the count at 2-2. Pirates, for the first time, get bullpen action going. I think that gentleman wants a home run. Right here, Goldie. I'll just take a base. Get on base here. Get it going. 3-2.
98. I think Cole's been throwing harder each successive inning. Double-barreled action. Hughes and Bastardo warming up for the Pirates.
Bastardo, the former Philly. Foul back. Pitches. Very workable. Goldschmidt against Cole, leading off the bottom of the 8th. Another foul by Goldie. Trumbo had to get out of the way of that one. Rockies beat the Giants tonight, 6-4 in Denver. Dodgers leading the Padres 1-0 in San Diego. In the center, but right at McCutcheon. Just has to move a couple of feet for the catch.
Didn't quite catch it on the barrel. Sounded like it may have hit out toward the end of the bat just enough to take some of the zing off that ball. Landed right in the glove of Andrew McCutcheon in center.
Mark Trumbo's got a double tonight. The backs live coming up. Todd, Webby, Jody. 0-2 on Trumbo. Now, last time Mark hit an 0-2 count against Cole. Cole elevated a fastball, and Mark really tattooed it for a double.
Yeah, see if because of that he goes to something else here in an 0-2 count. Maybe try to bounce a breaking ball or hit that outside corner with a fastball. There's a slider down that time at 86. This is the pitch you were talking about, Greg. Watch how he kind of gets up on his toes here to get on top of that ball. One hops it out of the ballpark.
Took a bounce into the pool. Ground pool double is what we like to call it. Struck him out. Yeah, stayed away from the fastball after he got ahead 0-2. And got the K. His 7th of the night. Again, he's walked 1, and that was Goldie in the first inning.
Vicious slider in the high 80s. Good downward movement. We haven't even seen the full arsenal of Garrett Cole tonight. He also throws a big curveball, an occasional straight changeup, but he's been able to get by with fastballs and sliders for the most part tonight.
26 balls in the game, 75 strikes. Tomas pulls one foul, third base side. Yasmani and a single back in the 6th inning. Kept the inning going, and then Owens got a run home. The only run of the game with a hit. Possibly was a strike, but was called a ball, and it was almost a check swing strike.
Cervelli wants to know where the pitch was.
Yeah, pitch looked as good as the swing was. Outside. 100+ pitches now for Cole, so this is probably his last inning. He's trying to go out in style. He's not letting up any on that fastball. Well, you can see why they're so high on this kid.
Yeah, if this is indeed his last inning of work, I expect to see the best fastball he's thrown all night right here. Slider instead at 86, trying to get Tomas to chase a pitch out of the zone. Runs the count full.
If Yasmani gets on, Owens next.
40 deliveries in the game, over 95 miles per hour.
Fouled out of play. The most pitches in a career start for Garrett Cole, 111. What's that tell you?
Maintain your velocity throughout the game.
Yasmani's put a good at bat on him here. Can he finish it off, get on base? Yeah, he did. He drew the walk. Oh, check that. Yeah, it's a walk. I thought he was walking
the wrong way.
Yeah, he's just going to take off the armor on the foot area. He'll go to first. Second walk. Remember, Goldie walked in the first inning. And here comes Clint Earl. And that will be it for his right hand. Who was a Bulldog here tonight. Giving his team 7 2/3 innings of work. And I believe I saw the call for the right-hander, which would be Hughes. And here he comes, and we'll be back with Chris Owens against Hughes. Diamondbacks down 3. Huffing and a puffing. Battle as the Indians take on the Tigers in the game you can only see on Fox Sports 1. Then it's a return of the Subway Series. The Yankees battle the Mets. Coverage begins at 9:30 a.m. on America's home for baseball every Saturday. Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. All right, Jared Hughes on with a man on. Tomas, who just drew a 2-out walk. And Chris Owens, who drove in the Diamondbacks' run with an infield hit back in the 6th inning. Hughes' 10th game already. And a ground ball just foul past third. Boy, that would have been a nice one. Get fair down the line. You can see the importance now to the Pirates of that run they added in the 8th inning in that 3-run lead back. Garrett Cole is night over. He did his job. Tomas to second, and he got in. Yasmani caught him asleep.
Wow. Bold move there by Yasmani. Better make it, trailing by 3 runs. It just took off as Hughes was standing on the mound in the set position. They were playing behind him with Rodriguez over there at first base, and he just took off.
Well, he's in scoring position now, and the hit would bring one in, more than likely. Strike. He's frisky out there on the bases.
That's a slider that just never took the break, stayed off that inside corner.
Hughes can get it up there too.
He's a dirt bag. Went to Long Beach State. They're called the dirt
That's
bag.
right.
Teammates of Evan Longoria and Troy Tulowitzki in his time at Long Beach State.
Pretty good team. One and two here. There's it. That's set. He's 29 years old. He is 6 feet 7 inches tall. Chris Owings trying to stand tall in the saddle here, get the Diamondbacks a run. And a drive down the left field line. Foul. Boy, that ball jumped off his bat. Just got in front of it a little bit too early.
Just a hair in front of that ball. Put a lot of hooking action on it as it went down that third base line. The sinker working its way inside, and CO intercepted it. Unfortunately, just hooked a little bit too much down that left field line.
Two Cervelli just went to the mound. Brief conversation with his pitcher. Tomas walked with 2 outs and then stole second base. And a swing and a miss. Got him with the slider, and that'll end the inning. So Hughes comes in, gets the strikeout, strand the runner in scoring position. Garrett Cole was rock solid tonight. In line for a win unless the Diamondbacks can rally. Need to hold the Bucks first in the top of the 9th.
Webb, Garrett Cole, when you can reach back and get 98 miles per hour in the 8th inning when you need it most, that's pretty telling, isn't it?
Yeah, he was pretty remarkable today. I was really impressed with him. He has the 98 in the bag. His slider tonight was really tough. He was throwing it early for strikes too, but bearing it when he needed to strike out, and he was doing that well all night tonight.
Didn't even use all of his arsenal. All right, we'll take a look at that. Josh Colementer's night and how this game was won or lost for the Arizona Diamondbacks coming up right after the final out. Back to the booth. Greg and Bob, take it away.
All right, thanks, Todd and Webby. Sean Rodriguez bats for the first time and takes the ball. Second inning for Evan Marshall. We've seen Chappelle do this several times this year. Delgado's done it a couple of times. Ziegler did it once, and now Marshall trying to do it here. Give him a couple innings. Swing and a miss. Rodriguez, a former Tampa Bay Ray. Yeah, the rally cowboy hats are on. There's a foul. It's a real advantage to a manager and the player who can do it, Bob. A guy who can play all the positions that this guy can and hit a little bit. Sean Rodriguez is a pretty good ball player. He's done a nice job in his career with the Rays. Now first season with Pittsburgh, but he can, you can use him anywhere on the field. He can probably even catch for you.
Played 6 different positions last year.
Dallas strike out here. Tuffy tagged him. 1 out.
Good slider that time from Evan Marshall.
Well, that had movement, didn't it?
You know, his secondary pitches really haven't been the issue. We've seen him throw some really good changeups. That slider has been nasty. I mentioned it earlier when he gave up the double to Walker. Just fastball location. A lot of mistakes up over the heart of the plate.
Francisco Cervelli. He did a nice job with Cole tonight. I didn't really see Cole shake him off a whole lot tonight. We've been told that he had in some of the previous starts.
Well, the stuff that Cole had tonight, I don't think it makes any difference what finger you put down there. He'll throw something nasty.
He had a lot of nasty ones tonight. Ground ball down to third. Tomas waits. Has it. Fires perfectly to first for the out. He fired that ball. We've seen him kind of ease up on a couple of throws here or there, but not on that one. That was right to Gold.
It's kind of like a golf swing. You want your arm to be accelerating as you're throwing across the diamond rather than decelerating, and that's what we saw a little bit of from Tomas in spring training. Even on a routine play, he'd kind of use a very slow arm action, and the ball would end up in the dirt. First baseman would have to bail him out. That time he fired it across the diamond.
Here now, Jordy Mercer. He's been on twice tonight with a intentional walk. That was back in the 7th inning. He singled and scored a run in the 2nd inning. Well, the Diamondbacks have a Lamb, and the Pirates have a Lambeau who is on deck. Marshall will miss down low 1-1. Two and 1. Oh, good movement there. Two now on Jordy Mercer. Counts are on full 3-2. Mark Melanson, 3 out of 4 in save opportunities. The former University of Arizona Wildcat getting ready in the bullpen for the 9th. Here's Lambeau. He would pinch hit if Mercer gets on base. Again, this is just the start of a 10-gamer for the Pirates. They go from here to Chicago to Cincinnati. Clint Hurdle. He works that gum as good as anybody.
Jaws have to be tired at the end of the day. I speak from experience.
Mercer fouls one into the Diamondback dugout. I don't know how much gum he goes through with that person. I mean, you're going to only, when you chew it that much, you're going to lose the flavor quickly.
Yeah. Have to reload.
You must grab a whole pack. All 5 pieces in a pack, is it? And you throw it.
They have buckets of chewing gum over in those dugouts.
There's a lot of balls, by the way, Mercer. That's Matt Stites, who's on the DL, and we'll give a souvenir baseball to a.
All right.
She's happy. Look, hey, where'd that ball go? Come on, give it to me.
Come on.
Oh, you kidding me?
All right. We'll look at that ball in the back seat all the way home.
Ball 4. And now you got to face Lambeau, the pinch hitter. Marshall at 30 pitches. Again, he's in his second inning of work.
Number 15, Andrew Lambeau.
He's a happy young man. He will sleep well tonight. First baseball I ever got was flipped to me by Stan Musial at Old Sportsman's Park.
That's big league.
Back in the late, it was 1959, and they had a walkway there. When they came out of the clubhouse, they had a walkway over the area where the people would walk, and that would lead to their clubhouse. And he came out and he flipped me a baseball.
Nice. Did you have to fight for it?
No. I was the only young man there. We went line drive and sink it. And always makes a catch. And Lambeau saying, why have they got a shift on me? It worked perfectly. The walk, the man left, rally time. Get those cowboy hats on sideways, people. Pirates Mark Melanson out of the University of Arizona several years back now. He's got 3 saves and 4 opportunities. It's been hot and cold so far. Look at that ERA. That tells you the cold part. His 9th game. He also has suffered a loss. High batting average against. Also 1-3. Not real good numbers.
A lot of concern about his velocity. Last year his average fastball sat right at just under 93 miles an hour. This year his average fastball at 88 miles per hour. That's a considerable drop off in 1 year. Still throws a lot of cutters. Has a good curveball.
They got him from Boston a few years back in the Joel Hanrahan deal. He had a career high in saves last season for Pittsburgh. 33 of them. Mark Melanson against the pinch hitter Cliff Pennington And another pinch hitter on deck, Aaron Hill. Penny is batting for Tuffy. And a ground ball foul, first base side. Third pitcher used by Clint Hurdle. Cole, the starter, 7 2/3 innings. Gave up the only run. Hughes faced one man and struck out Owings to end the 8th. Diamondbacks need a rally here. They're down 3. They need a couple of base runners to have a chance. Lance will miss low. Again, Diamondbacks Live coming up. Todd, Webby, Jody. She needs a little work on that rally. That'll work. That's good.
It's the thought that counts.
That's right.
Get over there!
Rodriguez attempting to bag himself one away. Well, these Pirates, the Diamondbacks lead the all-time series. They won 68 games over Pittsburgh to 49 for the Pirates. Diamondbacks 32 and 25, or check that, 36-24 here in Phoenix. But the Pirates have won 6 of the last 9 games played here at Chase Field. And that coincides with their 2 postseasons last 2 years. Better ball club, better baseball for them. They had such a long drought. Here's strike 1 to Aaron Hill. Hill is batting in Marshall's spot in the order. Aaron at 158, couple of doubles, 2 runs batted in. He takes a ball. Boy, we know that double, though, BB. That was that hit he got against Sergio Romo. He was 0 for 10 in his career and got the game-winning double in San Francisco in the 12th inning. One out. Diamondbacks need 2 base runners to get the tying run up. And a chopper down to third. Harrison charges. 2 quick outs in the 9th. Pirates an out away from a win, starting the road trip on a positive note. Third straight pinch hitter. It's David Peralta. Nancy Pill says, hey, I want to win this game. He's empty in the bench. The only guy he's got left now is Pacheco, who's the catcher who would come in if the Diamondbacks would tie here. Peralta's average at .235, but a couple of home runs, 7 driven in. Strike 1 from Melanson. I like his shoes.
I believe they glow in the dark.
Yeah. Definitely matched the stripe.
Get over there!
Well, this one's over. Diamondbacks don't even muster a threat in the 9th inning against Melanson. They go down 1-2-3, and the Pirates win the first game of this best of 3 by a final count of 4-1.
Yeah, this is one of those games, Greg. You go against a guy like Garrett Cole, you know it's going to be a tough duty to get base runners and push runs across that plate, and Diamondbacks just weren't up for it tonight.
No. Well, hopefully Bert's back with you tomorrow night. I want to thank Bob Brenly for being with me here tonight. Thanks for guiding me through the night, baby.
Nice job, Governor. Always a pleasure.
Where Diamondbacks Live is up next. We're going to send it out to Todd Walsh, Brandon Webb, and Jody Jackson. Take it away, guys.
All right, thank you very much, Greg Schulte. Great job coming.